Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and a brand new podcast. So what comes to your mind when I say idea, vision, innovation, risk, failure, challenges, resilience and success? Yes, I'm talking about a journey of an entrepreneur. So today's story is about a couple who were leading a normal life like all of us. And as parents, they also wanted to offer a toxin and a chemical-free products to their kids, which was hard to find. This encouraged them so much that they started their own company. And today, we are going to learn their journey to entrepreneurship. Let's welcome our guest, founder of themomsco, Miss Mallika Sadani and Mr. Mohit Sadani. Mallika, Mohit, thank you for coming to my show. A very warm welcome to you. You're an inspiration for a lot of people, a lot of young entrepreneurs, and we have heard a lot of success stories. How is it for you to live one?
That's a good question.
Nobody's asked us this question before. It's nice, yeah. I remember, one, it was not always like this.
Right.
So we are still getting used to the concept of this new lifestyle where you don't have to worry about a monthly check coming into your house. So I think it's a very new and a very different feeling. And yeah, we're just learning our way through it. So we've seen our lots of highs and lows through the course of whatever we did. And this is a new feeling where, you probably don't have to worry about a monthly check coming in every day, but there is still a lot of desire to do more. So we are in the space where you're trying to figure out what next to do.
We'll check that in a bit. But before we move on, I wanted to start that. How did it start for you?
So I chanced upon entrepreneurship. Mohit always wanted to, and he'll speak about his journey.
Right.
I have two daughters, and my older one was born in London, and the younger one was born in India. And I saw two different pregnancies with two different outlooks on how sort of people approached pregnancies in both the spaces.
Right.
And unfortunately, both my daughters had skin condition. So once I moved back from London to India, I was looking out for natural, safer products. I didn't find any.
Right.
I went to Facebook groups to kind of figure out and ask other moms what are their options, and then realized that there was a distrust with age-old brands, and there was a space to create something which was new and different, and something which was what the mothers were looking for. And that's how the journey to developing natural, safe and effective products at themomsco started for us. And then so on and so forth. Of course, got a lot of people involved, checked with a lot of mothers, did a lot of research to figure out exactly what was missing.
Right.
What was most interesting for me was two things, saying that whatever was available in the market, my biggest question was, how can a lotion not act as a moisturizer, right? And then I wanted to build something which was safe and yet very effective. And of course, the second question, saying if all the mothers there were asking for something, why was there no brand taking care of their needs? And that's how themomsco started, to be a mom's partner in her journey to motherhood.
So this started, I think, in the year 2016. Right.
Yeah.
But when did you realize that you wanted to start something of that sort? I mean, which year? Was it in 2016 only, or much before that?
No, so I think the work on the brand started around the same time. So 2015 was when my younger daughter was born. 2014 actually. 2014 was when my younger one was born. And within a year, we kind of knew that yes, we wanted to start building something. 2015 mid was when we started thinking about it. And then within a year, we kind of finalized on the concept, saying that yes, there is a need. We were trying to figure out, is there enough need, and the most interesting turning point for us was when during our market research, I remember going to this one space in Southex, and a lot of us who are from Delhi actually know of Southex as being one of those high-end posh places. And we were going for a research, but it just so turns out that right behind Southex there is a not so high-end sort of a society. And we happened to go there. So I remember my car didn't go inside the lanes. I had to park my car outside. And we walked in, and as we walked in, we reached this one spot where there was this one building where the building was divided by colors. So 3 different colors. And it was only later that I realized that each color depicted one house there. And then we took these broken stairs where, like, it was very filmy a scene actually, where all the aunties were sitting down and kids were playing below, and someone walked up and said, "Kiske ghar jana hai?" And we were like, "This is the house I want to go to." And they said that, like, "Come behind me, I'll take you." And we went up this aisle of broken stairs to go on the second floor. Entered a house, and that was the kitchen, and entered on the right, and that was her whole house, right? Like her bedroom, with a very large, I distinctly remember, very large wedding portrait. And we sat on the bed because there was no other space to have the conversation. And while I was speaking to the woman, she was 3 months pregnant or 4 months, I don't remember very clearly that. But what was the most interesting was that she was using brands like L'Oreal and Body Shop at that stage of her life, right? And then when we had dug deeper, we realized that as a woman becomes pregnant, she becomes extremely cautious of what she's applying on her body, right? And that for me was a very interesting phase to know, right? Because you're in that space, you're in that zone, but you're still seeking very high-end products. And I remember a L'Oreal set was $3,000. She bought it multiple times during the conversation. But what was more interesting for me was that India was spending, and it was spending on their children and spending on themselves while they were pregnant. And that's how we kind of thought that yes, there definitely is a space, because not just the very high-end people or very rich people are not the only ones who are having those conversations, but mass India is also having conversations on that. I distinctly remember when we were running the Momsco, there was this instant where we got this call from a lady, and it was so interesting because she had never used a cream in her life before. So first she asked, "How do I use a cream?" It took us some time to understand what the question was, and then we said, "Okay, this is how you apply a cream." And then she said, "ठीक है, आप भेज दो मेरे घर." So we said, "What is the address?" And I remember the early days when we used to be customer care, and I said, "What's the address?" She said, she gave us the name of her husband and the post office number and the bus stop number. And I was like, "Okay, what's your house number? What is it?" नहीं, उसकी कोई जरूरत नहीं है. आप जैसे ही पहुंचोगे बस स्टॉप पे, आप बोल देना कि घर जाना है. I don't even remember.
Very small village in UP somewhere.
Yeah, on the highway it was.
So
that is how it was.
How that lady had reached out to
She'd
you?
seen us on internet.
Okay.
So all of these small
Sure.
things, right? Like kind of gave us the instinct that yes, a brand can be built online, right? If she
Right.
figured us, and no, actually she's not just seen us on internet. Her sister-in-law stayed in Delhi, and she had used the product, and she recommended the product to her, and that's how it went. But the address was this one's house. Once you reach this post office, you will reach a bus stop actually. So I think those were the things that we thought that okay, right. Like I think we're in that stage where a company can be built for everyone who's looking out for safer natural products. It's not just the people who are very rich who are looking out for these products, but everyone is. In fact, our later realization was that people who had access were importing, but there was a large part of India who did not have access to it, and they were actually seeking out for good products. And that's how the brand started.
Right. So tell us more about the product. How many products did you launch with, and do you have a manufacturing unit, or you're doing white labeling? How is it?
So we launched with 4 products for pregnancy first, and then quickly grew the range over the next 1 year. We did outsource manufacturing, but the product formulations were ours. So we developed the products. We figured out what the product should be, and then gave the formula to an external party who then did the manufacturing for us.
Okay. And this is where, in India or somewhere outside?
India.
It's in India
Yeah.
only.
Our factories are based in Noida.
The factory is based in Noida. It's easy for everybody to just access, right?
It's
So
a-
access, and also I think we had a lot more control.
Correct.
And you can go into the factory yourself. You can have your team members doing the quality control, looking at the raw material, the packaging material. So it gave us a sense of good quality and control from our end,
Right.
which is why it was important for us that is close by.
Sure. So, as per you, what is more important? A vision, an idea of what you really want to do, or the funds?
Oh, the funds.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting question. The funds don't come without a vision and an idea.
Right.
So obviously the vision and idea is very important. Once you get that is, I always tell people, external funding is not the way to go. It's very glamorized right now,
Right.
but it's not for everyone. Not everybody does not enjoy it. Everybody doesn't need the funds. I remember doing a session where there was this lady who said that I want to fundraise, and I asked her the question, "What do you do?" She said, "I take tuitions." So I said, what are you looking at doing? And she said, currently I'm taking tuitions for 5 kids and I want to take it to 15 kids. And my instant reaction, you don't need funding for that, right? From 5 to 15, there is very different sets of businesses that need funding. So a vision is extremely important, and after the vision is the execution, the power to actually show what you really want to do, and then comes the funding. It's much later that funding actually comes into picture.
Right. So my next related question to this is that when you started, were you pumping the money from your own pockets, or you took an external help?
So we did do a lot of funding and we did put in a lot of our own money. In fact, I remember we had, through the course of working, we had bought 2 houses, which we actually sold during the course of running the Momsco. We sold both the houses to start doing what we were doing, and put in our money and created a prototype, created a brand world. And once that was created, we went out to take external funding, and that's how funding came into it.
Sure. You were also talking about a formula that you have created. Now, have you taken some external help in creating that formula, or was it your own brain that we should have these natural products that should be used?
So the thought behind was ours. None of us is the cosmetologist.
Correct,
so we hired our first employee whom we hired was a formulator. So he came on board and he did the formulations for us. So the scientific expert came in to create something. I always tell people that we were trying to create a very safe, natural world.
Right.
So we laid down the ground rules of what was acceptable and what was not, and then got experts to do everything else around it.
Okay, so after the products are launched and everything is ready, you chose a offline or online market, and how did you really market yourself?
It was all online. I think we went after the pregnancy market first. And if you look at the offline market, it's very hard.
Right.
Because in any particular area or for any shop, there'll be very few pregnant women in that area. Right? So it's very hard for a pregnancy brand to scale offline. We saw that as an opportunity. So we said pregnancy first. We had the largest range of products and we started online. And the idea was, if you can discover us on social media and then you can find us on e-commerce, we can get to you. So suddenly, by going online first, for pregnancy, we had a very large market, all of India, and we actually exported a little as well. So for the first, I'd say 2 years of the journey, we were almost 100% online. We did go offline, but in a very special way. We started shops inside pregnancy hospitals or maternity hospitals. Right? And there the logic was, there are very few women here, but they'll have a real conversation about the brand and help grow the brand. So that was the one offline bit that we did for the first 2 years.
So your vision from the beginning only to sell online, maybe because you have a background of Snapdeal.
Yeah.
So did that really help you to create something of that sort where you can sell in different platforms? And is it really hard to sell on the platforms, e-commerce platforms?
Not anymore. I think if you go back in time, then those years were where D2C wasn't a word. People didn't really understand. The idea was brand banana hai, kaise becenge, kahan becenge, how will consumers know about it.
Right.
So e-commerce and social media became the cheap way of creating some brand pull and delivering some products. Right? So that's why it was easier. I think what's happened over time now is e-commerce has become very easy. Everybody knows about it. The platforms have become very big. So in fact, if you see, there are, even in our own category now, there are probably 20 other brands that have launched. Right? So that's changed.
So I'll tell you, or I'll share some of the examples that I have in terms of selling it on an e-commerce platform, wherein first of all the platform does not, they're not very welcoming for a new brand to come in and display their products on their sites, primarily because they may not be able to generate that sort of revenue from that new startup that is entering. So did you also face something of that sort? Because I think end of the day, if you want to sell something in the e-commerce platform, you again have to pump a lot of money in doing marketing activities and displaying your products in the first 2-3 options when you're searching for something.
Correct.
So did you also face something of that sort?
We did, but I think it was easier. So what happened at that time, because e-commerce itself was growing, they were all looking for new categories, new brands to launch. Right? There weren't so many brands. So when we went in to talk to them, we weren't one of 20 pregnancy and baby care brands that were trying to launch. We were the only person. So it was very easy to get started because they said, okay, naya hai, try karte hain. Right? What's changed is today there are 20. Right? So even if you think about it from the e-commerce or category manager perspective, he's saying, how do I choose? How do I make a choice? Decide who to focus on. Right? So that's the difference.
We'll rewind this a little more because what I do in my podcast is I try to cover everything which includes your individual biographies as well. So we will rewind this a little more.
Sure.
And we'll talk about your the city that you were born in, the education. Tell us a little about your family when you were young.
I was born in Chandigarh.
Okay.
Cool. Sorry?
Cool, I'm saying. Chandigarh is the coolest place.
I was born in Chandigarh, and then after that I grew up all across India. My father was in the army. So we pretty much moved every 2 years from one city to the other. So I've done Chandigarh, Pune, NDA, Gangtok, Nagaland, Kota, where we went for a long time, Jaipur, Jodhpur. So I've actually roamed around a lot across India every 2 years. I then did my engineering and then did my MBA.
So engineering, software engineering.
I did electronics engineering.
Electronics engineering, and this was from Chandigarh or?
No, I did from Pune University.
Pune University, and then you did your MBA. Can we check what university and what was your major?
I did an MBA in finance.
In finance. Okay, totally different from engineering. Okay.
Totally different from engineering, totally different from what I'll end up doing also eventually.
True that. So when you were doing your MBA, what were your thoughts? What were your aspirations back then?
Oh, I wanted to be an iBanker, and I did get a job in iBanking in ICICI Bank. I joined them as well. But landed up and quitting very, very, very quickly. I think about 2.5 years is when I quit, and I moved to London when Mohit got a transfer. But I was very clear I wanted to come back and do this again because I thought it was a very cool job to have, and it had a lot of money involved with it. So I really wanted to do that. I never had entrepreneurship on the cards. Like I never thought I'll become an entrepreneur.
What about your family? I mean, your parents. I understand that your father was in the army. Is he still serving? No.
No, he's retired now.
He's retired now. And what about your mother?
My mom was a teacher in the middle, but mostly a housewife.
And how many siblings do you have?
I have one younger sister.
One younger sister. Okay, sure. Although it's not right to check a lady's age, but can we check how old are you?
I'm 41.
You're 41. Okay, we'll move on to Mohit now. Mohit, why don't you tell us, the city that you were born in and a little about your family?
So I grew up in Bombay. I was born there. My parents were in the Middle East, in Bahrain at the time.
Right.
So after a few years of schooling in Bombay, I moved to Bahrain as well. I did the rest of my schooling over there, and then I really wanted to come back to India. So I moved to Bombay, back. I did my computer engineering from Bombay University. Did that for 4 years, worked in TCS for 2 years in Bombay.
Okay.
I realized while in TCS that I really didn't want to be a software engineer, or I wasn't going to be very good at it, and studied for my CAT, ended up doing my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad,
Right.
and then I joined McKinsey, a consulting firm. I did that for 7 years. We got married during that time, moved to London, came back, and then I wanted to do e-commerce, so joined Snapdeal for 1.5 years, and then the mom's company, and been in Delhi since then.
Sure. And your parents are still in Bahrain? Or
So they moved back to Bombay.
They moved back to Bombay. About your siblings?
I have one younger sister, also based in Bombay.
It's a love marriage or arranged marage?
It's a love
No.
marriage.
Love marriage, yeah. We met in
So when
college.
did the cute little couple struck you both?
I think it was 2000.
And 6.
No.
Yeah, 2006 November.
Okay.
See?
All the
Yeah, remember, all the brownie points to me today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So November 2006, Mallika had come to campus for an event. That's where we met in Ahmedabad when I was there. Yeah, and then 2 years after that, we were married.
Okay, who proposed who?
Good question. I did the formal proposal, but Mallika made all the moves.
What do you mean by all this?
That's for another podcast.
Now talking about after marriage, you guys moved to London.
Yeah.
So typically, what we see that if somebody's moving outside India, and a country like UK, they do not tend to come back to India. So what brings you back?
Oh, I thought India was going through its massive growth space, right? We are seeing the economy grow, and it was very clear that opportunities lied here. So we wanted to come back because we thought there was huge amount of opportunity in the country, and that's what we wanted to capture on. So I think that was the time to come back. Plus, trust me, it's very comfortable to be here.
Right, because a lot of times what I hear from a lot of people is that the life is very simple and very easygoing compared to India.
Life is as you want it to be. Like, it can be as complicated as you're outside, or as easy as you want in India, right? But it's about who the person is and what are their aspirations in life that define a large part of how your life shapes out. I think for us, we saw a huge amount of opportunity in India, and our family was in India. We wanted to be close to our parents and everybody, and we didn't want the children to grow up without grandparents, so we decided to come back.
Sure. You have two lovely daughters now.
Yes.
What school and what class they're in now?
They are now 9 and 12, so in class 4 and 7.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, they go to school in Gurgaon.
Okay. I have a very funny question to ask, especially from you. While I was doing my research, I think I saw maybe 200 plus videos.
Okay.
And in all those videos, you're wearing this Chinese collar.
Yeah.
So what is that
Very good.
fascination
Well done.
about this Chinese collar shirt?
Someone told me once upon a time that if you want to build a brand, you should be consistent. That worked for the Moms company, so now I'm trying to do that for my personal brand. So this is it. I wear only Chinese collar shirts.
Are you launching some clothing brand?
No, but it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Next.
Sure.